algebra students. Gratefully you didn't get abducted by any ghosts or goblins last night. Hopefully you're not eating too much candy, you have a tummy ache. Oh, Mr. Lawrence, I can't do my homework, my tummy hurts. And hopefully now that your parents understand, you know what the big F word is, you can tell your parents so you don't send them into shock anymore talking about the big F word. Sorry about that, Mrs. Brown. Anyway, today we are going to be factoring by grouping. We're going to spend a second day on this. And remember that we're just going to GCF, GCF, and then GCF one more time. So let's get down to it. There's 4 problems here. And you know, if you feel comfortable enough and you want to just pause the video and work the problems out, I think that's a great idea. And then watch for my solutions. I'm going to choose to group this first pair and this second pair together, always grabbing that sign, and I'll stick a plus in between my quantities. Okay, so I'm looking for a GCF in this first quantity, and I see an 8r squared is going to be my GCF of the first quantity. Okay, so I'm going to factor out an 8r squared, and I'll be left with an r minus 8. Now, I don't see a GCF on the second quantity. I don't see one. I mean, there's a 1, but you never pull out a 1. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out an r minus 8 like that. And I'm going to notice that, where's my highlighter? That the two numbers being multiplied in the first are 8r squared and r minus 8. And then the factor of the second term is r minus 8 and 1, of course. And I notice that they have a common factor. What is it? It's the r minus 8. So I'm going to divide, let me change colors there, divide both terms by r minus 8. And I can put them in a quantity if you like. Okay, so now when I factor out that quantity of r minus 8, that quantity will be out front, r minus 8. What will be left here? Well, these will cancel, leaving me an 8r squared. What will be left here? Well, these will cancel, leaving a 1, right? And there you go. Pretty simple. Kind of an unusual looking one, but really not difficult. All right, let's move over to problem number 2. I'm thinking I want to rewrite this. I don't know if you know why I want to, but to me, the 21 and the 49 go better together than the 12 and the 21 do. And the 12 and 28 go pretty well together. So I'm going to rewrite it as 12p cubed plus 28p minus 21p squared minus 49. Remembering that the signs belong to the number they're in front of. They belong to them. So this is a negative 21p squared, and this is a positive 28p, right? I guess I should change colors on that because they're not like terms. I can't combine them. Highlight that in a different color for you. Okay. And to me, I see that the 21 and the 49 go better together than the 28 and the 49. Makes more sense to me. Okay. Now, if you see it another way, that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and group the first pair. I'm going to group the second pair, always grabbing that sign, always sticking a plus between my quantities. I think the GCF of the first quantity looks like it's going to be a 4p, and that'll be at a 4p. Okay, so I'm going to have a 4p times 3p squared plus 7. Okay, now on this one, I see a 7 that's common, but I notice they're both negative. And in this quantity, they're both positive. So I'm not going to pull out a 7. I'm going to pull out a negative 7. And when I do that, I'll have negative 21 divided by negative 7 is 3. And I'll have a p squared. And negative 49 divided by negative 7 is positive 7. And look at that, my two quantities match, don't I? So I once again will factor out the GCF, and in this case it'll be this quantity, 3p squared plus 7, and over here will be 3p squared plus 7. And I'll pull out the 3p squared plus 7, and here these will cancel, leaving me with a 4p, and here leaving me with a negative 7. Okay. There you go. All right, pretty easy stuff. Okay, number 3, I don't think I'm going to rewrite. I like the way it's going. I'm going to choose to group the first two and choose to group the second two, always grabbing the sign, put a plus in between. My GCF, I believe, will be a 2x squared in the first quantity. So I'll factor that out, leaving a 6x, leaving a 1. And then here, I think I'm going to pull out a negative 5. And so I'll have a minus 5 times the quantity of 6x plus 1. And notice, once again, I have 2x squared and then multiplied by 6x plus 1, right? And then over here, I have a negative 5, but I also have, once again, multiplied by the 6x plus 1. Yeah, so I have the common factor. So I'm going to divide by that common factor to essentially pull it out. So 6x plus 1. If you wanted a quantity, that's fine. And I'll divide by a 6x plus 1. Okay, canceling here, canceling here. So what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to have a 6x plus 1 out front, because that's my common factor now. On this first quantity or first term, I'll be left with a 2x squared. On the second one, a minus 5. And look, this is just too easy, isn't it, John? Of course, if you're not doing your homework, then it could be considerably more challenging. All right, last one. I think I'm going to rewrite this one. I see the 15 and 35 going very well together. So I'm going to go 24p cubed minus 56p plus 15p squared minus 35. I'm going to group it and put a plus sign in between. Okay, so looking for a GCF to factor out. I'm thinking 8 is going to be my best one. 8p as a matter of fact. So I pull an 8p out and I'm left with a 3p squared and a minus 7. Over here, I'm thinking that 5 is my GCF. And I'm going to pull out that 5. I'll be left with a 3p squared and a minus 7. And look, they match. So one last time, the common factor between the two terms is 3p squared minus 7. And a 3p squared minus 7. Gonna factor it out. 3p squared minus 7. Okay, shoot, shoot. And I will multiply by 8p. And here, shoot, shoot, plus 5. And there you go. That's it. Piece of cake. All right, Mr. Lawrence, signing off. Good night, everybody.